Hello, friends. So I made another post about, hey, I'm about to start working with people, and I think it might be helpful if we started a series that I'm going to run at the same time as my lecture series because, A, I think it's really important to really and truly talk through and educate on health and wellness and fitness and all the things. Because for me, as a personal trainer, holistic nutrition coach, aromatherapist, and someone who really and truly loves the body, I want to also be able to help you with some practical tips on how you can just define what healthy means for you. So I think when we're having the conversation about what does healthy mean, I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions. Namely, the first one is, what does healthy mean to me? What does that mean? Because if you have an autoimmune disease like myself, sometimes the most important thing is being able to get out of the bed. Sometimes it could mean I want to build my upper body strength so that I can lift myself out of my wheelchair. Sometimes it's wanting to work on what's called proprioception, or understanding where your body is in space so that if you decide to use a cane as your mobility aid, you're not unsteady on it. So there are a lot of things to think about when it comes to really and truly defining your goals in terms of what health looks like. So let's say hello to Henry. Hi, Henry. Hello, honey bun. I am purposely showing you that this is my maintenance mode. I don't necessarily like to show my body at all because for me and my training, one of the things that's the most important thing to me is I want you to reconnect with yourself. I want you to come home to yourself, but I also recognize that sometimes you need to be able to see someone that has your same body type. So for me right now, this is maintenance mode. If you caught my video a little bit ago, I also froze my eggs in December, and I purposely have not been in building since then because I really wanted to give my body a chance to rest. Also, I have an autoimmune disease, so I am not going to be in muscle tone and definition state all the time. I'm not doing that to myself because I can cause more harm than good. And I've had this conversation with my doctors. My endocrinologist knows. We've agreed on what that path looks like for me. So when I am going to define and gain muscle and tone, I have set times to do that throughout the year. Now, just so happens to be that time that I'm going to do it. So for me, I normally I kind of break my year up. And when it comes to my nutrition goals, I don't just do this for myself, I do this for my clients as well, but I like to look at the full year. And what I see a lot of times is people are like, oh, I'm just gonna be able to eat salads, I can't eat french fries, I can't do this, I can't do that. But I always focus on when I am in maintenance mode, 80% of the time I want to make sure that I am staying on my plan, which means that leaves 20% of the time where I can do as I please. And when I say do as I please, I also want to be very clear because you're not just throwing the way that you eat out the window. If you want to have a meal where you're like, actually, I do want french fries, let me go get that. That to me is more sustainable than restricting yourself and then you binge or you eat more than you want, then the guilt comes in. And there are also a lot of aroma psychology principles embedded within food and how we process things. So when you deprive yourself, your body is used to those cues from food and the smells. So you also want to be very careful that you're not causing more harm because your body knows before you even do, as it relates to, all right, this is what I need. These are the nutrients I need. Obviously, you're going to want to talk to your doctor, get your blood drawn, and see what is your baseline. Where are you starting from? That, to me, is what I always tell my clients to do. It's not about, I'm just going to throw everything out of my pantry. That's not sustainable. And have you seen how much groceries cost today? Don't you do that? But I really want to start having this conversation because it's going to be really important now more than ever to establish what does healthy look like to you. So sure, if you want to do weightlifting, okay. If you want to do Pilates, if you want to do low impact exercises, if you want to do body weight work, all of those are acceptable. You do not need to have someone define to you, especially when they don't know your life circumstances, what's best for you. Is weightlifting going to be great in terms of boosting your metabolism and all the things? Yeah, I can give a lot more detail, but for the purposes of this intro, I'm going to stop there because you're also not my client and I don't want to give blanket advice when I haven't had an opportunity to really and truly talk to you. So that is, just so we clear, that's always going to be how I operate in my videos. This is education. We're going over things, not medical advice. You're not my client, so I don't know. But I spent a lot of time this year walking, and I have my puppy, so we do a lot of walking, and we actually just started running together, and that is a form of cardio. Sometimes he can be a big baby, so sometimes I lift him. He is now 50 pounds. Yeah, but for me, initially, I was really focused on exercise and weightlifting and all the things prior to freezing my eggs because I had a sneaking suspicion that something was going to happen in the new year, but also I wanted to make sure that I was doing the best things for my body to prepare for freezing my eggs. And I will just say this, if you want to know more about it, of course, I'm happy to talk about my egg freezing journey. It just took me a minute to process through that emotionally, but that's for another video for another day. So with that being said, I am going to start a series that's going to run concurrently with my lectures talking about the basics of health and what it could look like, and I will use myself and provide some client testimonials. Obviously, I will de-identify all of them, but just talking through what does that look like, and if you have a specific goal, how do you actually achieve that?